right, my man, what is up? We are back with another week of the Tuesday Afternooner. That's right, we're coming to you live from the confines of 6627. Threads and apparel courtesy of the Flash Collection. You guys digging this blazer? There's only one man to see, and his name is FLA to the S to the H, and we're talking about Flash. Appreciated that, my brother. But let's go ahead. After another just phenomenal week in the Fantasy Foosball League, I like to say it can't be beat here in the Jason Witten Broadcasting League. I'm just top-notch, top to bottom, except for the bottom. That's kind of crappy. But that's neither here nor there. A lot of close matchups last week. A lot of blowouts last week. A lot of just D and the A of the ATL last week. That just hurts. Can we see Dan Quinn's face real quick? That's all I want to see for Flash. I want to get there it goes. There goes the Falcons sadness, and we don't care about the Packers. So let's put my face right back in front of there. We got a few teams left that are 2-0. In fact, we got 4 of them. We got John Madden, we got Neil Everett, we got Boomer Esiason, we got Scott Van Pelt. We got 4 teams that have no wins. We're talking about JR, we're talking about Chris Collinsworth, we're talking about Stu Scott, we're talking about Dennis Miller. And we got 4 teams that are sitting at 1-1, and that's the rest. Craig Kilborn, Brian Collins, Pepper Brooks, and Marv Albert. You talk about just balancing acts plenty in this league. That's what we got going on. I would say no team at 0-2 is out of it. I'd say no team at 2-0 is guaranteed of it, but it should make life just a little bit easier for some of us. But enough about last week. Let's talk about this week, and let's get into the Tuesday Afternooner. All right, last week we saw some blowouts. We saw a beatdown. We saw some bad luck. We just saw it all. And I got to say, we saw a back and forth that was maybe the best of all. So let's talk about that first. I'm talking about Craig Kilborn. I'm talking about Neil freaking Everett, the Flying Hawaiian. That's right. Neely boy right last week just squeaked by the hair on his dick against Craig Kilborn. Going into the Monday night game, we thought Drew Brees just guaranteed pick up the dub for him. He could sleep soundly late at night. It took until the wee minutes of that game, and Drew Brees picking up those yards to actually fulfill that destiny right there for D-Harb. So D-Harb, I got to give you kudos right there. Your team stuck it out. Kareem Hunt looked great last week as well. Your team is nothing to be scoffed at, my friend. Nothing to be scoffed at, even though I like to do a lot of scoffing. Looking at your opponent, Craig Kilborn, he was the team at the top of my power rankings last week. But unfortunately this week, the Packer magic of Aaron Rodgers, of Devonta Adams, was instead bestowed and passed on to one Aaron Jones. And sadly, I don't know if Craig Kilborn looked at his roster or not. He does not roster Aaron Jones. We got to decline this call from the commish right there, a.k.a. Brian James Green, the co-commish, calling me in the middle of this video. How improper. But I still got to say, even though Neil Everett, Tyler Higbee, Kareem Hunt, Drew Brees, raw kicking ass, Craig Kilborn did not put together a bad week. Still, multiple men finishing with 10 points or more, and I know you got 10 points. Double digits from every player should guarantee you a victory each week. You just go ahead and throw that out there. If every one of your players in double digits, there's a chance, a high probability that you are going to be picking up a big fat dub. You're going to be Jameis Winston in this bitch eating a dub. So, overall, Neil Everett, I'm proud of you. At the end of the day, you only had one word for Craig Kilborn, and that was aloha, which means goodbye. All right, let's move on to our next matchup that was quite fascinating last week, and we're going to call that the beatdown, the Boomer beatdown, if you will, because Boomer Esiason dropped 204 points, and no one batted an eye. His team is a very well-rounded squad, folks. I don't know if we're aware of just how well-rounded Boomer's rocking now, but he's got 2 running backs that are quality. He's got 2 receivers that are quality. A quarterback that some people may know as Patty Mahomes. He's got some skill in that right arm of his. And last week, Cody, every offensive player, including the kicker, excluding Adam Wheelin' Dealin' Thielen, had over 10 points. In fact, had over 11 points. His kicker had 11 freaking points with a missed field goal, with a missed PAT. That tells you how everybody was just rocking and rolling. Darren Waller was great. James Conner was great. DJ Shark Attack was great. And then you had the beast of the day, Aaron Jones. For all non-quarterbacks, a 58-point day is just unheard of. But when you looked across the bottom line, you saw him with over 100 yards rushing, almost damn near 100 yards receiving. You're like, oh shit, he's probably put up some points. 3 touchdowns later, the man's got 58.6 points. and Cody Notes just got to enjoy his Sunday afternoon. I mean, I'm sure he was still looking at stats every moment of his waking life that he could on that day to ensure that he picked up the dub. But it must have been nice to just know he had a pretty solid chance of beating Stu Scott. Stu Scott, though, 161 points, my brother. That's not a bad week, but I got to say, you're in the 0-2 club for a reason. It might be because you got bad luck. At least you let Russ cook, and that's what we want to see. Can't feed them all, but Russ can cook. All right, so that takes us past the Boomer beatdown onto the Benson blowout. And boom, baby, did Benson blow out Billy. I can't say that 5 times fast. Benson, boom, baby, Benson beat Billy. Boom, baby, Benson beat down Billy. Boom, baby, Benson beat down Billy. Because that's exactly what happened. I hate to say it, but Benson just whooped the shit out of you last week, man. Like, holy Jesus, there was nothing you could do about it. You had to know you were in trouble when Dak Prescott is going against the Falcons defense. You had to know you were in trouble when you saw that Raheem Mostert was going against the Jets. Didn't even play a full quarter and a half, and he still whooped your ass. And Benson, he's just a man feeling good right now. He's got just player after player. DeAndre Hopkins, Julian Edelman, Youngwoo Kim, or Youngho Koo, however we want to say his name. It was phenomenal last week, man. Just phenomenal week. 219 points, might not be topped this year. 56 from Dak, 18 from DeAndre, 31 from Chubb, 20 from Mostert, 33 from Edelman, 19 from the kicker, 11 from the defense. When your defense and kicker get you 30 points, lean back, kick your feet up, call it a day. Because your ass is about to win. That's all there is to it. 30 points from that, that's guaranteed dub. You welcome the history books of this league, and you'll know that kicker plus defense equals 30 equals dub. That's history. And speaking of history, we got 4 0-2 teams right now that are chasing history. Almost like the 4 Horsemen were chasing history. Almost like the Hurt Business, those new age 4 Horsemen. I, of course, being Bobby Lashley of the crew. But 0-2 in the history of fantasy football. And I went back and checked this. I went through the annals of Yahoo and ESPN and CBS and every possible network that runs fantasy football. I even found some individual office pools online somewhere, checked into those stats. Only 6.493% of teams that have started 0-2 have went on to make their league playoffs. And some of those leagues have pretty expanded playoffs. We're talking about 8-team playoffs in those 12-team leagues. So you really got to suck to not make the playoffs. And just looking at the 4 teams that are left, I see glimmers of hope for some. I see just you're here to play this year. You are here to just participate, breathe, make a deal or two. Oh shit! Speaking of breathing, there's Kyler Murray. He's the only thing breathing life into one of these teams out there in that Jason Witten Broadcasting League. But you look at our first 0-2 team, the Co-Commish, Brian James Green, also known as Chris Collinsworth, also known as Embarrassing the Gator Nation. But right now, Brian James Green, fewest points for, fewest points against. That spells shit-tastic. Your team's not even scoring points, but nobody's scoring points on you, and you're still 0-2. Not a good combination going forward. Next, let's talk about William Baseball, a.k.a. Dennis Miller. Now, Dennis Miller, he's not scored very many points, but he's had the most points scored against him. I mean, Benson dropping 219 didn't help things, but the man's had over 370 points scored against him. So last week's opponent also did a pretty solid amount of damage to William. Then we got Justin. He's showing signs of life in week 2. Scored 161 points, would have beaten 7 other teams. So just hearing that, you're like, damn, I just had the wrong matchup. And he really did just have the wrong matchup last week going against Boomer. And last but not least, we got Marcus. Improved from the first week to the second week, certainly by listening to the video and picking up defensive players that actually saw the field of action and had an opportunity to make a tackle or a pass defense. Oh, man, there's Deshaun Watson, Big Green. That's your man right there, Deshaun Watson. But I really see Marcus improving enough to get a victory this year. Not contend for anything, folks. Let's not be crazy here. But enough to pick up a victory. And the man's had some bad luck, just like Billy Baseball up there. Second most points scored. So Marcus is teetering right there, about the 8th most points scored, second most against. Look at that. Those scales aren't even right there, folks. Those scales are not even. All right, so that's our 0-2 teams. That's going to lead us perfectly into the power rankings and lead us to getting out of here for the week. All right, so let's start the bottom of our power rankings. Dun, dun, dun. In the shits of the league, we're talking about Chris Collinsworth. 0-2. I just got done harping on it. I'm sorry, man. That team is not good right now. That team is not good. Number 11, Dennis Miller. Offense, made a good trade this week. Definitely made a good trade. Getting rid of Cortland Sutton, blew out his knee. Picking up some dude named Tyreek Hill, who we're probably going to see in the background here in a moment. Picking up, pretty solid choice right there. Pretty solid choice, but still, 0-2. I can't rate you any higher than 11th right now because I still don't think your team is better than Stu Scott, who's number 10. 161 points last week. Really made me kind of paid a little attention to you there, Stu. All right, so I got my eye on you. Number 9, JR. Last year, had the most points of any team that didn't make the playoffs. Had them, I want to say, a top 5 amount of points in the league last year, and he's having this bad luck again. He mentioned on the Slack board earlier, just no luck for Jay Grant, and it's quite sad. I mean, for some people. Number 8, we're going to go with Marv Albert. Marv lost a big piece this week in Saquon Barkley. You can't really replace that. Deion Lewis in Saquon. Wayne Gallman in Saquon. There's not one person that the Giants can find. Devontae Freeman ain't Saquon. All right, so sorry to let you know that that's devastating to you. Number 7, Neil Everett. When I look at the teams right now, for some reason, I'm just not in love with your team. And I have disrespected you in the past. I can't lie. I have known to disrespect D-Harp's teams in the past. And this might be another instance of it. But I'm just saying, I'm not in love with this team right now, Neil Everett. I'm not in love with you yet. You're 2-0 and the lowest ranked 2-0 team. Number 6, the next 2-0 team, Scott Van Pelt. Horrible trade last week. Just looking back on it, what are you fucking thinking, dude? Why would you do that? Cortland's out now, so it's basically all you got was Kenyon Drake. But at least you still have Kyler Murray. God bless Cliff Kingsbury and that offense. Number 5, Peppers Brooks. Pepper, he lost Christian McCaffrey this week, 4 to 6 weeks. What is he going to do to replace him? I'm not sure about the depth right there in the Flash-tastic Mobile squad. Last time I checked, the bench was pretty shit-tastic. We can double-check the stats. Oh, he does have Leonard Fournette, so he might have a little bit of reprieve, but we can't always play the Panthers each week and pick up chunk garbage yards. Number 4, we're going with Boomer. Boomer, I know you've scored the second most points in the league, but you're still Cody Nobles, and you're still a guy that I'm never going to respect as a fantasy footballer. You have my utmost respect as a fantasy baseballer, though. And plus, you're still a Jacksonville Jaguar fan, and we know Jaguar fans always have the shittiest luck and the shittiest ways of things happening to them. Number 3, John Madden. John Madden, that's right. Just another strong showing from John Madden's team this week. Rymart has shown time and time again that he's able to craft a quality football team that plays fantasy sports, and this year is no different. Number 2, Craig Kilborn. Knocked off the top spot from last week. The team I liked more than I should is a team that I kind of hoping that they would become. And that's a shell of their former self. Devontae having a hurt hammy is no good. Aaron Rodgers, you never know what you're going to get out of him week to week. Usually could be MVP. He is pissed off. I was hyping him last week, but then this last week, just a little shit game or whatever he decided to play, didn't impress me as much. And then number 1 team, Brian Collins. There's nothing left to say right now, Benny boy. You're the defending champ, and you've got a really good team this year. You've avoided injuries thus far, and aside from like Paris Campbell on your bench, there's really nothing that looks like it's standing in your way of picking up another title. The Cowboys love to throw. Your team loves to catch and run. You got a best tight end in the league, not named Travis Kelce. I could see folks being in trouble. So that ends it this week for the Tuesday Afternooner. We'll see you guys in a week. Take it easy now.